Okay, took a couple days 'cause I went out yesterday. I needed to clear my mind about some stuff dealing, since leaving work on Friday. Um, but that'll be for another video because remember last video I talked about, talking about various, um, things that, I want to make videos about. And one of them, of course, being everything that's led up to the situation I've got that I'm in right now, and things like that. So, for one, that's going to be its own video. But before I got into that, I wanted to talk about how do you, if you have a problem at work and they are um, doing illegal things to you, what you can do to fight back. Okay, so this will all be done in Japanese because, I want people to know how to look for the things that they need to look for. Okay, and it's easier to find this stuff looking at it in Japanese. If you need any of the Japanese words to copy and paste so you can look this stuff up yourself, please let me know in the comments. I will um, uh, provide all the necessary vocabulary that you could just copy and paste. And then if you need to use some site to translate or whatever, go for it. But I wanted to do a video about this because most foreigners in Japan have no idea what their legal rights are, even if they've been here for many years. And because I've had to fight with a previous workplace, and I'm getting ready to take the current place that, screwed me, um, uh, into, another situation. I want to at least give a starter on where you need to start looking. Okay, I've decided I want to do this kind of in a series, so like if people have questions, I can go back and, read the questions in the comments and what is it? Uh, Look up the answers for everybody so I can provide multiple videos regarding this topic. Now, the first thing everybody has to understand is people want to come to Japan. Let's say they want to work in Japan, whatever, right? They always end up being an English teacher because that's just the easiest way to get over here. Although, if you are in a high required high education field or whatever you want to call that garbage, there's a special visa status for that, and you can actually get your permanent residency much faster than somebody who's is just working here normally, which is completely unfair. Um, like I understand if you marry a Japanese citizen and blah blah blah, that's one thing. That cuts the time in half. That goes from a if you're not married to a Japanese citizen, it takes 10 years minimum of consistent living in Japan. You can go back overseas, visit your family, come back, but if you're not under a working visa status for over 10 years, like let's say you work for 5 years, you decide at the end of that visa you want to go home, you go home, then you come back like a year later figuring, oh, I guess Japan is right for me, and you want to move back. That means that your counter starts back at 0. So you have to do 10 years again. If you're not married to a Japanese citizen, I want to be clear that there are different rules for different situations and all this other stuff. Marriage is 5 years. That special high experience, high in demand job or whatever visa it is. I don't remember off the top of my head because it's a new visa status they created in the past 5 years, and to me it doesn't matter because I already have my permanent residency. But that I think is only 3 years to get permanent residency, which is total crap. I find that incredibly unfair to those people who, like me, who just, work normally, we do what we gotta do, and then we're penalized for being good people. But because you have some, specialized visa, you can't speak a word of Japanese, but you have some specialized, you know, like in IT or medical or whatever the specialty you have is, you basically get a front row seat to the to a permanent residency. That seems completely unfair, especially considering that even after the 3 years I was first here in Japan, I could speak Japanese better than, and I understood Japanese better than any of these people on those visas. It's completely unfair because they could barely speak anything, or they barely understand anything. I'm here, basically basically on a native level of Japanese, and no, people like me, the regular people, the blue collars, are the ones that get screwed. So, but putting that aside, I just wanted to mention all this because there's a lot of things that could, be involved in this. So, and what people are thinking about. But irregardless of the fact of whatever visa status you're under, this applies to you because of the national labor law. Okay? One thing I want to make it very clear is that if you work for a company and then after 6 months of working there, they do not give you your 10 days of legally prescribed time off, this is something you can go to these labor offices and discuss with them, okay? So I'll use that as an example because many English schools in Japan will say you do not get your 10 days off. And this is typically in the eikaiwa industry. When it comes to like international schools or something, they're better about it. But in general, most of the English teaching places will not give you your 10 days. This is something I had to personally fight over, so I'm very versed on the topic, so that's why I want to use it as an example for why you would want to look this information up, okay? So the Japanese government, in the labor law, this is in, I forgot which article of the Japanese labor law it is. I can't remember exactly what it is. But after 6 months of working for a company, you are given 10 days of time off. The Japanese government, more recently, I forgot exactly when it was because it was quite a while ago, they required that you take at least 5 of those days every year. You're required to take them by law, okay? So any company that refuses to give you these days off is breaking 2 labor laws. So, if you're not sure about the specific details of this, you want to go to look up where a labor office is that you can actually go and talk to these people about. So, you would type in this word here. It's Rodo Kijun Kantokusho. And this is the labor standards observation office, I guess you could translate it as roughly. These are the places where it's run by the Ministry of Labor. But so the Ministry of Labor is the national ministry. But in each prefecture, you have the prefectural labor boards, and they're all like top down, right? So it's the Ministry of Labor in Tokyo, going down to the prefecture level, and then to the city level, and then you have these like, because it's mostly the prefecture level, and then you have these regional offices that you can go to. Now, most of these places do not have English support. If you live in a big city, if you live in any major city, you won't have any problem with this because they'll have special places where you can go to where there's English support where you can ask questions. For example, like if you just want to get some ideas about the law, there are areas, like let's say in Nagoya there's the International Center. They have a special area where it's like an information center where you can actually ask questions about the labor law or whatever laws in Japan that you need to know about. And they do have multi-language support there, so it's very easy to find this information out from places like that. In most big cities, Tokyo, Nagoya, Osaka, maybe Fukuoka might have one. I haven't been in Fukuoka in a very long time, so I don't know. But I know in the three big cities, they all have something like this. Especially Tokyo, Osaka, they would definitely have these things. And they would have foreign language support there for multiple languages. For people who need some kind of understanding of the law. So why am I bringing up the Rodo Kijun Kantokusho? Is because these are the places that are run by the government. They're at the prefectural level, even though the prefecture labor boards are under the direct observation of the Ministry of Labor, which is in Tokyo. But you would go to one of these offices and you can ask them questions. You tell them your situation and they'll tell you if there's any laws that they're breaking. Now I'll just type this in so you can see. So the first site that comes up in Yahoo Japan, which is, I think if you need to find something like this, this is the best way to go about it when it comes to finding this information. Brave search is terrible for searches in the Japanese language, so do not use Brave search. Pre-search would be okay because they're just a front end for other search engines, so you can look things up through pre-search, and it'll provide you a secure front end so that you aren't giving information to sites that you wouldn't want to give information to. So well, here it is. They say Labor Standards Inspection Office. Okay. So the Ministry of Labor is right here. This is the official website, so we can go here and it'll give you a list of all the regions where you can all the prefectures where you can go to get to find these offices. So you can see, like in the Kanto region, you have Northern Kanto, Southern Kanto. So you have like Tochigi, Ibaragi, Tochigi, Gunma, Saitama, Nagano are what are considered Kita Kanto. The Minami Kanto is Chiba, Tokyo, Kanagawa, Yamanashi. Then of course you have like Hokuriku, Tokai, so Kansai, Chugoku, Shikoku, and Kyushu. Kyushu/Okinawa. They always include Okinawa. Okinawa is a separate thing, but they always include it with Kyushu for some reason. But Okinawa is its own thing, its own area of islands. But so then you can go. Let's say you live in. I'll be really obscure here. Let's say you live in Tottori. Tottori is a tiny prefecture, very few people, but we'll just go there. So it'll tell you there's the main office in Tottori City, and then you have the regional offices where they have where you can contact them. Of course, Tottori is very small, so there's only 5 of them, but I just want to show you they'll give you the phone number and fax number, things like that. They'll give you the address too, so you can find out where to go to. But for like the main one, like So this is the main labor board office in Tottori City, and then you have the inspection offices here. So there's 3 of them, and then there's the Antesha, which this is usually used for what is it? Like just quick stuff. The main stuff, you have to go to one of these 3 inspection offices to talk to them for main advice, right? So that gives you an idea of how this works. And this is the Ministry of Labor website, so you can see that that's the actual government website. Because you'll need to use these. This page has an English site, so we'll go here. Information about English. They have so labor, multilingual information, counseling service, and hotlines in foreign languages. So you can contact them with in different languages. So you have like English, Chinese, Portuguese, Spanish, Tagalog, Vietnamese, Myanmar, Nepalese, Korean, Thai, Indonesian, Cambodian, Mongolian, and they give you the days of which they're available. And then so this is like about the working conditions. And then here's a guide to labor bureaus with foreign workers consultation advisor for foreign workers, so you can look here. And of course I clicked on the English site, but it brought me to Japanese. So let's change this to English so everybody can just see that they have English. So you can click on whatever you need. So you can what is it? You can see what kind of things there are. You can look. So for example, there's Chiba, Kanagawa. Let's go to Aichi. Let's find Aichi. So there's Shizuoka. So here's the Aichi one. They have no they have nobody on Monday for English, and English is only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But you have Portuguese basically every other day. Hold on just a second. Okay, sorry about that. That stupid delivery person messed up and rang the wrong apartment number. Anyway, so you can see here where you can look all this information up, and then so you can look at like the inspection office here. You can see like they only have, for this particular one, they only have Vietnamese support on Thursdays. So you can see now in this case, and of course if you call on the phone numbers, they're very expensive. You'll be charged 8.5 yen per 180 seconds from landlines, or 10 yen per 20 seconds from cell phones. So it's very, very expensive to call. It's better just to go in and talk to them in person. Now, the reason why I want to bring this up is because a lot of foreigners don't realize how much they're getting screwed over here, and because they don't know anything about the labor law. And so knowing where to consult about these things, if you're not sure about these things, if you have no idea and you're completely unsure, going to these inspection offices or going to like information centers that have foreign language support will help you immensely when it comes to learning these things. I would always start with the basic information centers, like Nagoya International Center or something like that, where you can just go in, you can ask them a quick question, they'll open up the law book, they'll tell you what it is, and they'll explain it to you. because the labor standards offices are more for putting claims against companies. So, for example, what I had to miss 5 days of work or something because of the flu many years ago, and due to that, the company was saying, well, you don't have any time off, because they weren't offering, they were not, they were just like every other, conversation school where they wouldn't offer paid leave, which is against the law because it's written in the labor law that you're required to receive this. And just so you know, that the longer you're with a company, so let's say you're first for between 6 months to 18 months, you get 10 days. But once you get to 18 months, you get 11 days added on that. So you get the 10 plus an extra day. So that's 21 days if you didn't use any. And then the following year, you get 12 days. So you have a total of 33 days of time off that you can take at any time. And for example, if you're not allowed to take it all at once, basically. But the company, if you request certain days off and you give them proper, notice about the days you want to take off, they can only ask you to possibly change the day, because let's say they're busy at that time, in that period of the year or something. So let's say you have some like Halloween event at this school or whatever. And I'm speaking from the English conversation side, because typically this is an issue with the English teaching stuff. The field of English teaching in Japan is very, very bad about, days off and stuff like that. So that's why I'm specifically talking about this, because most Japanese companies are pretty good about it. But let's say you have some Halloween event or sports day or something like that. Well, if you want to take the day off on those days, they'll probably say no. The company will probably say no, because they need you there to help out. And let's say you're in charge of that class, you need to be there with your kids, right? So that's kind of, those are some of the kind of exceptions to they must let you have that day off. But in general, if you give them proper notice and it's not, overlapping with some big yearly event that the school you work at is involved with, really they can't tell you no. They can ask you to maybe change the days, but you can reject it. So this is completely in the labor law. You have a right to say, no, I want these days off. They can't force you to take different days. So they can only request that you take different days, offer different days, if they think that the days that you want to take off are not good for their situation. Okay? So, but let's say you work for a company that refuses to give you this, and like in my situation, I had to miss multiple days because of, having to be sick and laying in bed for a week. And the company was gonna take basically a week of my pay away from me. And that would have been extremely detrimental to me at the time. So, I went to the labor office. I talked to them about it. The labor office then called the school and talked to them and told them that is inappropriate, and that because I had been working for that place for so long, that I was allowed to have that time off. And so, there's nothing that the company really do about it. Of course, just to make things worse, the company, because they'd been treating me poorly for a very long time at that point, they changed a lot of things to make it more difficult on me, because it was already a 1-hour commute for me to get there. So it was a pretty bad situation for me working at that company. I'm not going to name names. I'll just say that that was the situation. Anyway, the uh, what is it? I had to go to labor board. They took care of it just with a phone call saying no, you can't dock the person's pay when they have available time that they can use, and you know that. So basically, you can use the labor standards offices to um, put pressure on a company. But in my current situation, the company that just recently let me go, well, they didn't let me go, they forced me out, kind of thing, because of getting hurt on the job. So essentially, I'll leave it at that. If people want to know the full story, I'll put another video about that. But due to it not being a legal issue, like they weren't actually technically breaking any labor laws, I have to go through a different method of getting kind of, um, I don't want to say revenge, but to kind of punish them for screwing me in a way. And what they call it is walk hiking. It's like a payment by the company to basically say, okay, we cleanse our hands of this whole situation. We're done. That's it. That's basically what it is. But I wanted to bring this up so everybody will, have the ability to at least know where to look for advice, or look for help in a situation. And this applies to any company. So if you're a foreigner working for a Japanese company and you think that they're mistreating you in any way, or they say some bad things about you or something, then you can always go and talk to them. You don't have to, put in a claim or any kind of stuff. You just go in and talk to them, ask them for advice, just tell them the full story of what's going on, and then they'll the ones who are focused on the labor law side of it will give you advice according to labor law. And if there's nothing in the labor law that that says anything, they'll say, well, there's nothing legally that can be done. They'll recommend you talk to somebody who can take care of things civilly, like in a civil lawsuit kind of sense, civilly. So you have that option. So I want to at least tell people about this, so that people know where to look. You can, if you need help finding this information, you can, what is it? You can, I can post, I can post this in the comments somewhere, in a pinned comment or wherever, if people need to know it. And so you can just copy and paste it. You can find this stuff, and then you can look all this information up for yourself. You can, but I highly recommend, if there's some kind of international center in the city you live in, that you go there first, because they will definitely have days where there's foreign language support staff there who can help you. That will get you on the start, and then they can recommend you go to certain places like the standards office or wherever, to get, like, if you really need to put in a claim, if you're being mistreated at work, or discriminated against at work, or something like that, you can, go. They can tell you where to go to get that next step. They'll guide you to that next step of where you need to go. So I always say, start at the beginning level. Go to an international center, information center for foreigners about, like legal stuff. I know every major city has some place like that, because, just the number of foreigners there. And you go there, get your ideas, and then if you need to go to the standards office, you go to a standards office that has language support if you need it. If you need the help, if your Japanese isn't as good as mine or something, then you can go to those places. Then get the proper advice directly from the labor board, and they'll tell you about the labor law itself, and they'll explain the details to you and how you can, move along with um, what is it? The steps you need to go through to get your get the advice you need to deal with any labor issues that you might have at work over here. But I wanted to get this first video out, let people know this is where you search, this is how you look things up. You can easily find this information, and like I showed you, there's like multiple languages, so you can read it in whatever language you need to you know, get the information you need to go forward with any, you know, if you need any legal recourse or civil recourse when dealing with a company that you're working for. So this is just the first. If you have questions, please leave them in the comments, and I will, you know, answer whatever I can. I'll use those questions as possible next videos, so I can, you know, point out, okay, this person's asked me this question, so here's how you go about finding this information. And then I'll try to make this series like that, so that people can, you know, I can do my best to help people get the information they need about the like any legal, like labor related legal issues that you need to take care of. So I'll see you guys in the next one.